Ever wished you could build a full stack AI agent that feels native, no matter if it's running in JavaScript or Python? Hi, I am Avaral Shukla, and in this video, I'll show you exactly how I went from a JavaScript-based Copilot using CopilotKit and AGUI to a fully working Python backend without rewriting my front end. Whether you're just exploring AGUI or planning to use it with frameworks like FastAPI, Cursor, or even Crew AI, this walkthrough will help you get there faster. This is our tool that gives us the ability to change the background color like we saw in the demo, and then we just inject the Copilot chat here within our JSX so that we have that place to talk to our agent, and then within the root here for /API/ and then what was it here, like Slappy is CopilotKit. This is our root for that, where we're just using this instance of the Copilot runtime that works for Next.js. So we have this Next.js endpoint here where we're going to be passing in this runtime that defines our custom agent. So this custom agent class right here that corresponds to exactly what we set up right here. So custom agent, we're just importing that into our API endpoint and then setting that up. That is what's going to be called when we make this post request to /API/CopilotKit. So CopilotKit does a lot of the work here of making it very easy to integrate the agent within the front end. But you don't have to use CopilotKit at all. You could build something entirely yourself that's just going to leverage these different events that we get back from our AGUI compatible endpoint here for our agent. So we can watch for the text messages and stream those out. We can watch for the tool calls and we can display those however we want to. There's a lot of flexibility here no matter how you want to build your front end or your agent AGU. I gives you that connection so you can use anything that you want. For example, I was easily able to adapt this example to use a Python backend for my agent instead of something that is built also in JavaScript like the front end. So let me show you that here I have my other instance of Windsurf open up here where I followed their example. So if I am going back to the documentation here, instead of the connect to AGI page, if you go to build with AGU, then you'll be able to see the example using Python. So they walk you through what it looks like to set this up. This is very similar to what we saw where we're just going to be yielding these different events like the run started, the run finished, or here is the next text message. Like it's going to look very similar. This time we're in Python. We can use libraries like Crew AI or Pydantic AI, and I'm not using those in this case, but you very easily could. And so I have this FastAPI endpoint that's hosted just with /AWP. I'm getting the message ID here. And then I'm sending in that event saying that, all right, I'm starting the response from the agent, and then I'm using GPT-4. 1 mini just like I did with the JavaScript. And then I'm going to loop over all the chunks that I get back in the stream when I'm streaming the response from the LLM, and I'm going to send a bunch of these chunks just by yielding them. And the event type for each one of them is just text message content. And I'm sending that delta as well, so we can build up that response over time in the front end and then just sending the text message end and run finished at the end. So this is a basic example that doesn't handle the tool calling, so I can't change the background with this agent like I can with the one in JavaScript. But I just wanted to show you at a very basic level how we can use Python instead. And then going back to my custom agent here, I'll actually replace the code entirely with what I've created with the help of an AI coding assistant, of course, to use our Python endpoint. So instead of having all the logic, right, within here to interact with GPT 4.1 mini, I'm now going to be calling this endpoint that I have running right now in my terminal. I could even show you that here. So if I open up my terminal and show you this right here, I got the API endpoint that is currently running, and so we're going to hit that, and then we're going to create this reader where we're just going to process the stream. So we're going to be displaying things in exactly the same way when we had everything implemented just in JavaScript. So just a little bit of extra code to take care of that, returning this process stream to our CopilotKit runtime so it can handle that accordingly, following the AGUI protocol. So back in our front end here, and I've got the terminal open up as well, because I'll show you that we're now using our Python API endpoint with AGUI. So I'll go ahead and just send in a message like, what are the best AI agent frameworks, which it's not going to give a good answer because it's training cut off. But yeah, we can see here that we now got a post request to our endpoint. Just now we're getting our response streamed out, looking very, very nice. It was that easy to adapt, basically entirely switching our agent under the hood. but it's connected to our front end in the same way. So that's the main thing I wanted to show you. I went from a JavaScript agent all the way to a Python agent. And so that could be going from MRA to Crew AI, whatever you want to do. But I still don't have to change anything in the front end. I can still interact with the agent in the exact same way. And if any of this seems complicated to you, do not worry, you're not alone. And they provide a way for you to very easily use AI coding assistants like Windsurf and Cursor to help you build with AGU. Both building out your agents and your backends and making that compatible and building out your front ends with your own code or using a tool like CopilotKit, whatever that might be. And so this page in the documentation, if you just scroll down, you'll see developing with Cursor. They have this LLMs fold.txt, and so you can take this and you can give this as documentation to your AI coding assistant. So Cursor has their built-in docs feature. You could just paste this into your prompt. There are also MCP servers like my crawl for AI1, where you could crawl this and use this as a RAG knowledge base for Windsurf or Ruode or whatever you want to do. So yeah, this just makes it very accessible for you to start building with AGUI, connecting your agents to your users. Now, the very last thing that I want to touch on is the current state of AGU. Obviously, this protocol is brand spanking new, and so it's not super mature at this point. Like I said, it's definitely worth exploring this protocol, starting to learn how it works, maybe not using it for literally everything yet. I wouldn't go there because there's still a lot that has to be developed out. And we've seen this with other protocols like MCP and A2A. I mean, A2A still really hasn't been widely adopted yet either. And then MCP, it's starting to get there. But it took a long time. It was November of last year that MCP was first released by Anthropic. It wasn't widely adopted until maybe around March of this year, so like 4 or 5 months. And the main reason for that was just when they started their documentation wasn't the best, the protocol wasn't the most mature, and was barely handling things like security. I think we're seeing a lot of that with AGUI, at least to start, and honestly, they're doing a lot better of a job than MCP did at first, so props to them. I'm very impressed. And yeah, it was really easy to work with, and it definitely just makes sense the way that they set up all these different events for our agents and how that communicates to the front end. So that's how I switched out my entire agent logic from JavaScript to Python, still using the same AGUI powered front end and runtime. Whether you're building locally with FastAPI or experimenting with advanced AI tooling, AGUI gives you the flexibility to make it work. If this helped you, leave a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more real-world AI dev content. No fluff, just practical builds.